everybody, this is Rich. I'm joined here today with Rip Esselstyn. Uh, Rip, as you probably are familiar, he's an author. He wrote Engine 2 Diet, My Beef with Meat. He's a triathlon. He's been in Forks Over Knives. His dad is Dr. Cauldwell Esselstyn. Of course, he's whole food, plant-based, and happy to have him on board. Um, Rip, I wanted to ask you first about the Engine 2 diet because it's an amazing story how you transformed practically the whole fire department where you worked. If you can
Yeah. Yeah,
go
right
into
here.
that.
Here it is. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know if you can see it
It's an
or not, but
awesome book. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I've read it.
Yeah, so have I.
Yeah. Right. But it's just an incredible story. It just shows how people can recover. And but I'll let you take it over.
Yeah, yeah. So what would you like me to talk about regarding the Engine 2 diet? You want me to talk about the firefighters or help me
Yeah,
out a little bit?
just well, first, yeah, talk about some of the firefighters. I know one of them specifically was sick. I
Yeah.
think
Well, you know what? So that's a great starting point, Richard. So I'll just start by saying that the vast majority of firefighters across the country are are overweight. They're riddled with chronic Western disease. The number one cause of in the line of duty deaths for firefighters is heart attacks. Um, According to a study in Fire Engineering magazine, 84% of paid and volunteered firefighters across the country are considered overweight or obese. That's more
wow,
than our population at large.
yes,
And I can tell you right now that the reason why most firefighters are sickly and overweight is because of the food, right? It is this macho need to feel like they need meat and fried foods at every meal. And when you're a firefighter, you spend typically, a whole shift, 24 hours at the firehouse. So you're cooking breakfast, lunch, and dinner
right.
there. And the food is absolutely, I just can't even tell you how absolutely toxic it is, how unhealthy, um, how disease promoting. And so, I came in to the fire department after going through the academy. All these guys were shredded, right? I mean, you go through the academy, you're like so excited. You get out into the field, and now all of a sudden you get sucked into this whole whirlwind of this machismo attitude.
Yep.
You're not working out as much. You're eating the same toxic promoting food that all these other guys are because the culture kind of demands it of you.
Right.
And within 10 years, you've gained 100 pounds. So
I believe it,
literally, the
obese
average
myself.
fire,
I know how easy it
yeah,
is.
the
Yeah.
average firefighter gains somewhere between 5 to 8 pounds a year. And that is absolutely unhealthy. And there's a guy, for example, that I went through the academy with, who I talk about in my book, Tim Bosma.
Yep.
And he weighed right around maybe 220 in the academy. 10 years in the fire department. He was one of the guys that did my pilot study.
Yep.
He was one of the 68 participants. After 10 years in the fire department, he was 303 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, most of these guys, they've got elevated cholesterol levels. They've got, borderline high blood pressure. They're borderline pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes.
Yep.
And it literally is, it's the standard American diet on steroids is what
Exactly.
how most firefighters eat.
Can I ask, were you plant-based when you started being a firefighter, or I wasn't
Oh
sure
yeah.
exactly when you
Yeah, yeah.
started.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. No, so I became a firefighter when I was 33 years old, and I started eating whole food plant-based when I was 23.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I started eating because of my father's research at the Cleveland Clinic. And after I graduated from the University of Texas at Austin, I immediately used this lifestyle to propel me as one of the top 10 triathletes in the United States at the international distance triathlon.
Awesome. And no
Yeah,
doubt that plants help you with all the energy that you needed and to get you through that.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, was it Tim specifically that started you to think about your fellow workers, or what was it that made you decide to do this challenge?
Yeah, well, another great question. No, I was pretty fiercely whole food plant-based, although I didn't try and shove it down other people's throats by any stretch of the imagination. And I got out of the fire academy in 1998, March 1998. And then I went to Fire Station 1, which is the animal house of the Austin Fire Department. And I mean, literally, you've got two fire engines and a ladder and a EMS unit. So you've got 18, typically 18 guys that are there
Yeah.
at this station.
Yeah.
And they belittled me. They made so much fun of me because of the way I ate. Oh, you don't eat real food. You eat what food eats. Hey, why don't you just go outside, hook yourself to that tree and eat the grass. I mean, the comments were
I know.
endless.
I've gotten them too. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, of course.
I
Yeah,
hear you. Yeah.
absolutely. Um, but no, what happened is I was at Fire Station 1, just kind of minding my own business, doing my thing. I typically did not eat with the crew because it was always, meatloaf or chicken fried steak or pizza with pepperoni and double
Yep.
cheese or, cheeseburgers and the like. And then after 4.5 years at Fire Station 1, I transferred to Fire Station 2. And it was there at Fire Station 2 in 2003 that after a kind of a routine cholesterol test, one of my fellow firefighting brothers, who I had been at Fire Station 1 for 4.5 years, he came over to Station 2 with me. His cholesterol was 344
Wow.
milligrams per deciliter at the age of 33. And he was just scared. His grandfather passed away at 48 from a heart attack. His great grandfather passed away at like 47. His father had triple bypass at 50. And so he knew that he not only did he eat a horrendous diet, but he also had a horrendous family predisposition
Yeah.
for heart disease.
Yeah. Of
And so that's
course.
how it started. I challenged him and the other guys to eat the way I ate, do it for 28 days, and then see what happens. And his
Yep.
cholesterol dropped from 344 to 196 in
Yeah. That's
28
impressive for a
days.
month.
He dropped 14 pounds, sleeping better, no more acid reflux, more energy, all the intangibles that happen
Yeah.
when you get off the contraband. And then that's how it all began, a little bet to see if these guys could eat the way I ate for 28 days. And then it became a thing at Fire Station 2 on the C
Yep.
shift. And then um, and then wind got out of what we were doing. And we were written up in a lot of different media, the local paper, NPR, National Public Radio, the New York Times did a front page article in the Metro section about a bunch of vegan firefighters in the land
Yep.
of beef, right? And then
Yep.
that's what led to an avalanche of literary agents and publishing houses reaching out to me to write a book about the adventures that we were having at Fire Station 2, bucking the trend
Yeah.
of the meat and the dairy. And that's how it all started, Richard.
Did a lot of people reach out to you after that from other fire stations?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. After the book came out, I got different fire departments from not only, all over the country, but also abroad, like in the UK, for example, wanting to know how they could do it as well.
awesome.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
that
They wanted to follow our lead. And again, Richard, it's no surprise that the leading cause of in the line of duty deaths for firefighters is heart attacks.
Yeah. Plus the
And
stress too. I'm sure that's part of it
there's
too.
certainly there's certainly a component of stress and
Yeah.
sleep deprivation and the fact that that alarm goes off and you hear over the loudspeaker, you got a heavy box alarm, flames everywhere, people jumping from the third and fourth stories. Your heart starts racing pretty
Yeah,
fast.
of course. Yeah.
Um,
So
so
that you
there's
can't
certainly
imagine having a bad diet on top of that, on
well,
top of the stress
exactly.
and everything. Yeah.
Exactly. And so that bad diet is kind of it's the straw that breaks the firefighter the firefighter's heart.
Yeah. There almost
Yeah.
should be guidelines. I mean, I don't think there's a way to do it, but there should be guidelines if somebody's going to be a firefighter that they have to be
Well,
plant-based just because of the
yeah.
stress. Yeah.
I think that would be a great idea. I think it'd be crossing all kinds of boundaries that, would
It'd be tough to implement, but
exactly. Um, but I think more and more as the information gets out there, and most firefighters, I do have to say, the vast majority of firefighters have big, big, wonderful hearts. They're a really special breed of people, and they want to do a good job. They want to be the best version of themselves,
I'm sure. Yeah.
typically. And so I think a lot of it is just about changing the um, changing the norms around
Yeah.
food that that are so predominant right now in that culture.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Did your friend Tim, and do you know if Engine 2, they continued with the plant-based journey even after you left?
So lots of them have. I mean, there's pockets of firefighters all throughout the Austin, Texas Fire Department that that started following Engine 2. In fact, the so Austin is a large department. I mean, we're the 11th largest city in the United States now.
Right.
And so we have an in-house firefighter physician. And every firefighter has an annual physical where you go and you have an appointment with him and he does a full, blood work over, physical exam, and all that jazz.
Yeah.
And when I went in there, and so did the other guys, he was so fascinated with our blood work and how good everything looked that he asked me, what are you guys doing there? And I said, well, you know what? Believe it or not, we're following this program that is very similar to what my father's program is for preventing and reversing heart disease in these end stage heart disease patients. He's at the Cleveland Clinic. And
Yeah.
I'm writing a book about it all. And he said, I'd love to read it. So I gave him an advanced copy of the book like a year before it actually came out.
Right.
And when firefighters would come in with elevated blood pressure, high cholesterol, pre-diabetes, he on his prescription pad, because the book now had just come out, he would write the Engine 2 diet,
Love that. That's awesome.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's really fantastic. And then I can't speak to whether Tim is still following it because I haven't talked to Tim in a couple of years. And then the other guys are there's about two of them that are definitely hardcore, still plant-based. And some of the others, they're not perfect, but they're definitely plant forward,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Yeah.
At
So
least it took away
it had
the
an impact.
stigma. By you doing that, it took away the stigma around it. You know what I mean?
Right,
People,
right, right.
they're probably not so quick to make, jokes about it, when they see the results.
Well, that and also once one of your firefighting brothers writes a book and it becomes a New York Times bestseller. And he's on the Today Show and Good
Right.
Morning America and the CBS Morning Show. And he's written up in Time.
Yeah,
And
that's got to make a
all of a
huge
sudden, there's a
difference.
little bit of credibility that goes
Yeah.
along with that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. How long did you stay being a firefighter?
So I was a firefighter for 12 years.
Wow.
12 years with the city of Austin, Texas. And then, what happened is after the book came out, I got this really incredible opportunity to take helping people and saving lives to a whole nother level. And what happened is John Mackey, the CEO of Whole Food Market Stores,
Yep.
who is and has been a vegan since about 2004, 2005. He read my book, loved the whole, ethos and the whole vibe of it. And we became friends. And after a couple months, he challenged me and he said, Rip, if you really want to take helping people and saving lives to a whole nother level, I would like to invite you to come be a healthy eating ambassador for Whole Food Market Stores.
Yep.
Spread this message of health and hope to our 100,000 team members, to our millions of customers. And we'll also, in fact, also do a line of food products that's exclusive to only Whole Food Market Stores that carries your name, your likeness, and the Engine 2 brand.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, incredible. This is probably a once in a lifetime opportunity. I'd be stupid not to take it. And so I retired from firefighting in September of 2009.
Yep.
Yeah,
And I think I met you in 2014 the first time. You were doing the Whole Foods tour and you were in West Hartford.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've done
No,
so many. It's tough
I've
to
done,
keep
yeah.
track.
No, for 10 years, I toured not only the United States, but also Canada and the UK. So I think it's fair to say I've been to well over 500 stores.
Oh, that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You kept you busy.
It did, but it was such Richard, it was such an amazing growth opportunity for
Oh, I'm
me,
sure. Yeah.
right? To get outside my comfort zone and give all these talks, start these retreats where we teach people from soup to nuts,
Yep.
all the benefits of this lifestyle, coaching programs. Really, it allowed me to develop a whole ecosystem around my tenets and my whole philosophy around eating healthy and living healthy.
And that was the first time I picked up your book was at a Whole Foods. Yeah, they had a huge display, so
Yeah.
we got the word out.
Yeah. No, Whole Foods was really quite incredible as far as promoting my book, promoting the lifestyle, promoting the food line, promoting the 28-day challenges, which were,
Yep.
that was my call to action in this book. It basically the subtitle is the Texas firefighters 28-day save your life plan that lowers cholesterol and burns away the pounds. And Whole Food Market stores, I don't know if you remember this, Richard, but for a number of years, every store had a healthy eating specialist. And 2 times a year, they would throw the Engine 2 28-day challenge that would be supported by this healthy eating specialist. And they'd invite team members and customers to
No, I
partake
wasn't
in
aware of
it.
that.
And it was completely
Yeah.
free. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that. And it
Yeah.
was also a 28-day challenge too, you know?
That's right.
Yeah. Boy, that's awesome. Though. That helps
Yeah.
so many people.
Yeah, I think so too. Absolutely. Thank you.
Is your product still exclusively Whole Foods or is it in other stores now?
Well, since then, so that was a 10-year contract that I had with Whole Foods. And in 2020, I took over the brand. I took over the food line, and we've since rebranded it as Plant Strong.
Yep.
from engine two, because engine two, if you know the backstory, it means a lot. But if you're a shopper going through the aisles and you see engine two, it doesn't really mean much to you. It's kind of ambiguous. So we've rebranded it Plant Strong, which, people know in 2 seconds. Okay,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
got an
I
idea of
love that
what it
name too,
means
by
and
the
what it
way.
stands for, right?
Yep.
So we now have products that are available at Whole Foods, but also at hundreds of other stores across the country.
Right. I
Yeah,
heard
like for
something
example,
recently.
we're in 7 banners of Kroger, we're in Wegmans, we're in Sprouts, a lot of the natural supermarkets across the country, HEB. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, I see it in my grocery stores as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
and then we also have we have almost 50 products, and they're all available via direct to consumer or e-commerce, and uh, and that's just you can order it online and then have it drop shipped right to your
yep.
doorstep.
Yep.
Yeah.
I heard you mentioned something recently. I think it was on the Salt podcast you did recently, the mini podcast.
Oh yeah, sure.
I think you mentioned that you added a pinch more sodium just to make it more appealing to the mass
That's
users.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we recently introduced 6 new chilies and stews to our heritage 4 chilies and stews that we launched at Whole Foods globally in August of 2021.
Mhm.
And we raised the sodium just about 100 milligrams on each one of our new SKUs, because it's incredible what just 100 milligrams will do for the palate. So
Mhm.
instead of being at 180 or 220 milligrams per serving, we are now 280, 320. Maybe in 1 or 2 instances, we're up 350, 360, which
It's still low. Yeah.
still makes us one of the most basically low sodium soups and chilies on the shelf.
Yeah, I challenge somebody to find something lower because the sodium is probably like 1,000 milligrams in the average soup can.
It's about, well, in the can, you're right. In
Yeah.
the whole can, most are typically 600 milligrams of sodium per serving, and most have 2 servings. So you're right. Most are 1,200 to 1,800 per can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind, if we could just talk a little bit about sodium, because my personal experience, it really skyrocketed my blood pressure. I mean, I've done experiments since I've lowered my blood pressure with this diet, and it works. But if anytime I've introduced salt back, and
Yeah.
if it's a significant amount, it really does raise the blood pressure.
Absolutely. It's amazing how sodium really does affect the vessels, the fluid in the vessels. And so for people that are hypertensive, that are sensitive to that, it's incredible how bringing your total sodium down below 1,500 milligrams
Yep.
uh, a day, and those are the guidelines by the Institute of Medicine.
Right.
It's incredible what an effect that will have on the health and the elasticity of your blood vessels. And now your heart
Exactly.
doesn't have to work as hard, and your vessels don't have to work as hard. And it's just it's a good idea to cut back on the sodium. And most sodium, I'd say the number one culprit for sodium in the American diet is probably bread. And
Yeah.
that sodium it's baked into the bread. And so you really have a hard time noticing it. Your palate does. Whereas, for example, if it's right on the surface of something like potato chips,
Yep.
potato chips actually have less sodium than bread, but you'd never know it because the sodium's right on top of that potato
Exactly.
chip.
Yeah.
And there's naturally sodium in every food. So spinach, potatoes, oranges, apples, green
Yeah.
leafies, everything has sodium naturally inherent in it, but not ridiculous amounts. So if you were
Yeah.
just to eat nothing from a can, a box, or a package, but just eat fruits and vegetables and beans and nuts and seeds, you'd probably get 500 to 750 milligrams of sodium per day.
Which is actually more than enough, correct?
Well, yeah. So
Yeah.
you want to be getting 500 or more, or I should say 500 is kind of the cutoff point where you don't want to get below that, most
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And so if you're eating a whole food plant-based diet, and then you occasionally throw in something that's, packaged, boxed, or canned, that's the sodium isn't off the charts, you should be good to go as far as getting under that 1,500 milligrams.
What are your
But
thoughts?
the sad reality, Richard, is that most Americans are consuming between 3,500 to 5,000 milligrams of sodium a day, and it's because
I believe it.
almost 70% of America's caloric consumption is coming from processed and
Yeah.
refined foods that are loaded to the gills with sodium, oil, and sugar.
Yeah, I've been there. It's so easy for it to add up. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I once figured out my calories for a day and it was 10,000. I
Seriously,
remember calculating it. Yeah. I mean,
10,000
I don't know how it
calories.
survived those years. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's fascinating.
Yeah. But yeah, as soon as you adapt this diet, the weight just falls off.
Mm, mm.
I've never seen it fail. I mean, if they do it correctly.
Right, right. That's true. It's all about compliance and consistency.
Exactly. Exactly. One thing I wanted to talk about because I'm doing a veganuary challenge
Oh yeah.
start soon, and I wanted to for maybe you to give the audience a reason. There's lots of reasons why, but what do you think is the most critical reasons to go plant-based now? During this year.
Oh gosh,
I know there's a lot of reasons.
yeah, there's really a confluence of reasons. I'd say the one that really is the most telling to me right now, and we have little red flags popping up everywhere, is I think most people consider themselves to be environmentalists. And if you really are concerned about the health of Mother Earth and the planet,
Yeah.
and you want to do everything you can in your power to mitigate the warming of the earth, then the most effective and pronounced thing that you can do starting immediately is to go plant-based. Now, I'm not going to say whole food plant-based, but I'm going to say plant-based slash vegan, where you're not consuming animal products or animal byproducts that are the number one perpetrators of global greenhouse
Right.
gas emissions
Right. Yep.
on the planet. So, and I think that everywhere we turn, we are we are seeing the effects of what we have done to the planet
Oh,
over the
absolutely.
last several hundred years. And it's now culminating with some pretty hairy stuff as we approach 8 billion people on the planet. More and
Yeah.
more people think that it's the cool thing, it's the healthy thing, it's the bourgeoisie thing to eat meat. And
Yeah.
it is so not the case.
Yeah.
So I
I'm
would say
hoping.
that that's number one. Although you know you want to also take care of yourself numero
Exactly.
uno by eating
Which is
meat.
the reason to go whole food plant-based.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. It is scary when you think about the environment, and I don't think there's anywhere probably in this country that you can go that, weather hasn't changed. Like look at in the Northeast in Connecticut, we had our warmest winter so far on record. December has been the warmest ever. We had incredible amount of rain. We didn't get any snow until January, and it's already melting. It's
Wow.
very unusual, and didn't used to happen.
Well,
You know?
Richard, for Christmas vacation, we went up to the North Shore of Lake Superior, and we thought we'd go ice skating and snow skiing and cross country skiing. There was zero snow,
Yep.
and the temperatures were anywhere between 38 to 50 degrees
Yep.
every day that we were there. And talking to the locals, they were like, we've never seen anything like this. They're like,
Yeah.
this is
Exactly.
really, really weird.
It
Uh,
is. It is. I think it
yeah.
should be a wake-up call, the people.
I mean, it's like, what more do we need for us to wake up and go, this is of our own making? Let's get to the root causation of this. And it goes way deeper than, the usual suspects, fossil fuel and um, whatever you want to blame it on. Let's get to the white elephant in the room, which is meat and dairy.
Yep.
I,
Exactly.
I had a guy in my podcast, Richard, named Salesh Rao, and he's got a nonprofit called climatehealers.org.
Mhm.
Brilliant, brilliant individual. And in his research and his scientific papers, he has concluded that animal agriculture, between the supply chain and the life cycle of the close to 90 billion animals that we basically raise and then slaughter for our insatiable consumption of animal protein, yeah, are responsible for 83% of global greenhouse gas emissions.
Wow.
Try that one on for size.
Exactly. That's incredible. That's an incredible number.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
just jaw dropping.
Yeah. So do you think that, I mean, this is another tough question to answer, nobody really knows, but do you think that there's ever going to be a time in our future that we'll have a vegan planet? I mean, probably never 100%, but do you think society can actually shift? Because there's a huge number of people, obviously, probably 90% that still eat meat products out there. Do you think that, like
Well,
10 years, do you think that number will go down
yeah,
significantly?
Richard, I think it's a fantastic question. And my answer will be, I don't think it's a matter of if, I think it's a matter of when that happens.
Hmm.
And I'll give you an analogy, like smoking cigarettes. Back in the 50s and 60s, over 50% of this country was smoking cigarettes, thinking that there was nothing wrong with it. It was the right thing to do. Doctors prescribed different types of cigarettes. And if you look around today, it's basically cigarette smoking has basically been eradicated. Less than 20% of the population now smokes cigarettes, right? It's just thought of as a very kind of, it's a nasty habit. It's an unhealthy habit. We have a lot more information and people
Right.
are educated around the ills of smoking. I think you're going to continue to see that happening with meat and animal byproducts. And so will we ever get to zero meat? I I highly doubt it. But just like cigarettes, I think we can go from, let's just say 90% of America currently consumes, meat and animal byproducts. I don't know when, but I bet you there'll be a day when we've eradicated that number down to where we've got 15 to 20% of the population that's consuming animal products and animal byproducts and in much smaller quantities.
Right. Yeah, you and I are on the same page because I was thinking also about, look at milk, for example. We have all these plant-based options now, and that has put a huge, dent into turning people into plant-based. I'm sure.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. No, that's a good point, Richard. I mean, all these incredible plant-based milks that are out there, from almond to oat to soy to flaxseed to pecan, uh, and they are so wonderfully tasty. Most of them are healthy. Way too many of them have too many sugars and emulsifiers and stabilizers and oils, but there's plenty out there that are very, very clean
Yeah.
and healthy and don't carry with them the garbage that milk does, which is the saturated fat, the dietary cholesterol, and the problematic casein,
Yeah.
which represents 86% of the protein in milk products, which is, as our friend Colin Campbell has said, casein is the #1 carcinogen in the American diet.
Yeah. People need to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to end with what is your typical diet look like now? What do you typically eat in a day?
Great question. So this morning, I had my commercialized cereal, the Rips Big Bowl cereal. It's a blend of 4 different whole grains. I had the banana walnut, so it's got some dried banana pieces and walnuts in there as well. On top of that, I put chia seeds. I put a sliced banana. I put grapefruit. I love grapefruit wedges on my
Oh, that's a
cereal.
good idea. I like that idea.
And then I also did a kiwi. And then I also used a my own, actually. We're launching it here in February in Whole Foods across the nation, our new Plant Strong milks. And I had
Oh,
a
oh, good. I'll have
oat,
to try that.
I had an oat walnut slightly sweetened with date milk. And the
Oh,
only
I can't wait to
ingredients
try that.
are water, oats, walnuts, dates, and then it's fortified with D3, B12, calcium, and there's a little bit of salt in there. So it's
Yeah,
super clean.
you know what I love about that? You didn't mention oil. So many of these plant-based milks, they seem to
You
add
do?
oil.
No, we yeah, if you look at the side of the packaging, we loud and proud say only these ingredients. And on the very front, we say no gums, oils, or emulsifiers
I love that. I
because of
can't wait to
the
try that.
technique. Yeah, because of the technique that we are able to extract um, the the grain, the nut, or the seed. We do not need any gums, oils, or emulsifiers or thickening agents that are really have been shown more and more to disrupt the very, very fragile microbiome.
Right. Not to promote other products, but the only product I could find for oat milk that doesn't have oil is Planet Oat. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I definitely know of Planet Oat. Does it so it doesn't have sunflower oil
No.
or anything like that? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that's one I use now, but I plan to try yours. I can't wait to try it.
Oh, and we got 4 varieties. We're gonna have a pure oat, a pure almond, an oat almond blend, and then an oat walnut blend that I just
Yeah,
talked
that's
about.
one I want to try is the walnut one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. And it actually looks like chocolate milk
And
because
you
of
said
the
this is coming in February or?
February, the second week in February at Whole Food stores across the country.
Oh, awesome. I'll
Yeah,
promote that on my social media as well
yeah,
because
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Thanks. And then so that's what I had for breakfast.
yep,
Um, for lunch today, I can tell you I've got it in the refrigerator. I've got leftover pasta, whole grain
yep.
penny pasta from last night with um, charred broccoli, nutritional yeast, arugula, and that's it. So that's what I'll have for lunch. I'll have that. And then for dinner tonight, I haven't checked with my wife yet, but I'm sure we'll have, oh, I think we're going to make pizzas. I think we're going to make homemade pizzas and obviously no cheese. And then I've got, there's 5 people in my family. We have 3 kids. So we'll make 5 pizza crusts and then everybody will customize and make their own pizza and then have it
Oh,
for
nice,
tonight
nice,
and then for lunch tomorrow.
nice.
Yeah. And so I can tell you, I'll have onions, mushrooms, tofu, pineapples, black beans, sun-dried tomato, and arugula on mine.
Yeah, I like everything except the pineapple one.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
I
and
love
it's funny
pineapple,
when
but separate.
when I do pizzas, I like my pineapple coming from canned pineapple.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So, and then during the day, Richard, I'll snack on fruit. Today, I'll probably have 2 sumo oranges, 2 bananas, and a kiwi.
I don't see you didn't mention too many berries. Do you eat those as well?
I do. And usually I typically have a huge bag of frozen berries in my freezer, and I will have those in my cereal. I just didn't happen to have berries on my cereal this morning because I had breakfast at my office.
Yeah.
But if I was at home, I always pull out. We have a 2 pound bag of it's a mixed berries. It's got blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries. So that's one bag. And then the other bag is just pure blueberries. So you're right. I mean, I typically have berries, I would say 5 mornings a week as part of my big bowl cereal.
Yeah. The only thing I worry about now is with did you hear that study about bananas? They might take away some of the nutrients of the berries. I
Uh,
still eat it
yeah,
all
yeah, yeah,
together, but
yeah. No, listen, there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of, confusion that's being thrown at us. And I don't really pay much attention to that stuff. Same thing with oatmeal. They're saying oatmeal's bad, bananas are bad.
oh, if they
It's
ever
just
said it's bad, I don't think I'd listen
now
either.
saying bananas are bad is a bad idea. Bananas
Right.
rock. They're absolutely incredible.
I just tried
All fruits incredible except for coconut.
yeah, exactly. I just recently tried oat groats. Have you ever tried the groats?
Absolutely. That's the way to go.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
are awesome. I just finally found them in the store last week.
Yeah, it's hard to find the oat groats. They're not as popular. And it's kind of it's the originator of the oat. I mean, you start
Yeah,
with the oat groat, and then from the oat groat, you have steel cut oats where you take the oat groat and you slice it up 3 times with a steel blade. That's why it's called steel cut oats. And then you have the rolled oats, which is basically they roll out the oat groat. And then you have the next level below that, you have the processed, really finely cut up instant oats,
yeah, I
which we
avoid
don't
that.
recommend.
Yeah, I avoid that.
Yeah, smart, smart.
Hey, this has been fun. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely, Richard. Well, I want to say huge congrats to you on all your success with everything around a whole food, plant-based lifestyle, what it's done for you.